Hello, it's the Bears time. It's Caleb Williams, it's Ben Johnson, second year together. Everybody is expecting that this is just the start and they will get further in the playoffs. Well, I might burst out some bubbles there. Now, this is episode 14 of your draft preview of War Room, preparing for your draft takes on draft night that is going to be there in like 8 days from now. So it's really coming soon. I hope you join me on my stream. If you are here for just my quick thoughts, here they are. If you want to dig deeper, follow me. Now, let's start with the QB room as usual in Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent, and we don't have to spend any time there because the future is clear. They have even committed money towards their backup, so this is a tier 3 need. Now, I will slide back here because as you can see here, there is not a tier 1. There's just a couple of high tier 2s. And that's where a lot of misunderstanding about what the Bears are is coming to me, at least from like a regular fans. And the belief is it's only going to get better because they have Caleb on rookie contract, that's such cheat code, and they will just invest and go and use this window. Yes, and yes. All of that is true. At the same time, there is one tiny thing that they are missing. They have already done that. They have done the very similar thing as the Vikings did. They have prepped the roster for the success of Caleb Williams. Luckily for them, Caleb took it by the horns and really ride this pony towards a playoff success, I would say. That was in year 2, unlike JJ McCarthy. But the belief that just because Caleb is on a rookie deal, that they have this unlimited amount of resources to spend, it's not true. This roster has been good. It really has been invested in and really good. So, for all the people like, why are they not doing too much in this offseason? Why they have not gone for like Max Crosby and etc. Because they have already made their moves. They have invested a lot, and like spending premium draft resources, that would sacrifice a lot of their future. Could they have done it? Absolutely. They could really be like, okay, screw 29. Let's just focus on the next 2 years. Borrow everything from the future, kind of the Saints way, and let's go for it. But if you are not willing to do that, which some general managers are not, this was kind of expected in terms of their offseason. Now, come back. Running back is a tier 3 need. In terms of the running back room, I would also call this a tier 3. DeAndre Swift has surprised me very positively last year. I felt like the reconnection between him and Ben Johnson is going to lead to a disaster because Ben was kind of fed up with him bouncing around side, that didn't need to be bounced outside, not giving you what those blocks for, and always trying to look for home run. Let's be honest, he still has this ability, but he just figured it much more. Here, I would credit Ben or like the coaching staff a lot, but also DeAndre. Like, you need to want it. You need to really want to improve. And like improving in the gym, I would say, like, it's not easy. Like, look at me, I'm fat. Like, it's not easy to improve in the gym. But improving here, especially for a professional athlete, I would say it's even more demanding. It's even more like you really have to want it. So big credit to DeAndre Swift for proving me wrong, and I hope he continues. And behind him, Kyle Monangai, definitely great 7th round investment that's just like become a very solid RB2. Now, it's not so much sunshine and rainbows in terms of their wide receiver room. They have Rome Odunze, they have Luther Burden, and that's kind of it. Kelly Fremont, Jade Walker, no. That those are not the guys that you actually want to be starting. Even though that's true, I still don't consider this a tier 1 need, and the reason is very, very, very easy. And it's because they will use a lot of 12 personnel because they have invested in Colston Loveland despite having Colt Matt. And when you do that, you are kind of like willingly commit yourself to spend a lot of time in 12 personnel because you want your too high investment in terms of tight ends to get on the field, which is absolutely fine because they actually coexisted very well together. And that tells you, okay, so we have our kind of clear starting four in Kolkmet, Roman Unzel, Luther Burden, and Colston Loveland. Nevertheless, it's still worthy of investment because, you need wide receiver 3. No matter what, you need that guy. And again, it's Caleb Williams. You want to use his passing. So I think they will look at this room and realize we kind of don't have much after we let DJ Moore go, which I think was absolutely great piece of business for the second round. Like, I thought they would cut him. Like, getting a second round pick for him was freaking exceptional. Like, great job. Now, I think it's time to reinvest this investment, and I would not be shocked if it's the exact same pick that they got from the Bills. In terms of tight ends, it's a tier 3 need. They have invested in this room. Colston Loveland was freaking excellent year 1. Really showing, not only to me, that he was worth that pick. Would I still take Tyler Warren? I think he's still a better player. Is he necessarily better fit with Ben Johnson? That's where I do question that and my judgment. So, worth a pick, great job. And with Colt Matt, like, what do you need more? Like, you have your tight end room figured out. Can we talk about like specific type of tight end flavor that you just want for really just, 100 snaps a year? Yes, they could invest there and like round 5, round 6, but we are not talking about this as any need whatsoever. And now let's switch towards the offensive tackle. Darnell Wright is freaking amazing. Like, he's not Penei Sewell, but he is actually close, which is kind of crazy. And like we talked with Brian O'Neill, like the fact that you are Darnell Wright and you might be third best right tackle in this division is kind of crazy. I would say it's clearly Penei Sewell, and then the Brian O'Neill, Zach Tom, and Darnell Wright is like, what do you want of your right tackle? I think those guys are on very, very similar level. Nevertheless, he is freaking awesome. On the other side, the room is not like clear. They don't know who their left tackle of the future is. At the same time, they have 3 freaking options. It's Theo Bennett, it's Kieran Amedaji, it's Ozzy Trapilo, and it's Braxton Jones. Oh, it's actually 4 but Kieran is more like swinging towards the guy. They have invested in Ozzy, second round pick last year. Theo Bennett actually proved to be worthy starter when those guys were out last year. And Braxton Jones, for some unforsaken reason, decided to come back here to a team that clearly said to him, we are drafting Ozzy, we are not paying you. He comes back here. I don't understand this. This was one of the most baffling decisions by an agent and player in this whole freaking cycle. Still don't absolutely don't understand it. At the same time, for the Bears, it's great. You get a guy that's borderline franchise tagger for $7 million a year. Like, for 26, this room is like over flooded. For 27, you don't know who the starter is, but like, you are absolutely not investing here. Hell freaking no. Speaking of room that improved massively last year, it was their interior of the offensive line. Bringing Joe Thuney, that was a move that everybody agreed would be absolutely spot on, and it was freaking spot on. But Jonah Jackson actually playing much better than a lot of us expected. Well, kudos. Like, is he necessarily still worth the money they are paying him? Who knows? But he was freaking good for what I expected. Like, definitely outplayed my expectation. And you would be feeling so good if Judelman did not retire. And that, like, it came out of nowhere, 27. I don't know what is with centers. Whereas, like, the tush pushes and stuff, like, they are just getting too much maul over and too much injured. Like, somebody needs to look at it, because surprising retirement of the centers has been kind of a theme for the last 2 years, and I'm not happy with that, because we have few great centers, and like, if 2 of the like top 10 guys are retiring within 2 years, very early in their career, I'm not happy with that. I really am. Now, Garrett Bradbury is a fine patch. They can absolutely go into the year with Joe Thuney, Garrett Bradbury, and Jonah Jackson. At the same time, behind these guys, you kind of have nothing that I trust. Like, Kieran Amedaji, maybe something is going to make out of him, but not much. I think they need to invest here to just prove this room, prepare for Garrett Bradbury's departure or Joe Thuney's departure, but like that you hope that's going to come very, very like in 28, 29, hopefully. And just like have a guy with guard center flexibility, and that is something that I think they will view high in terms of the list of, we absolutely should invest here. They are fine going to the year in terms of the starter. If any out of them gets out, they have a big problem, and I don't think you want to have big problem just before Caleb Williams. So tier 2 need, in my opinion, with like center being like on the epitome, but with Jonah Jackson and Joe Thuney, age, money, I think guard is also a need. So I just squeezed it into one and put it in tier 2. Now, in terms of the defense, I might piss a lot of people because I'm going to say that the edge is only a tier 3 need for the Chicago Bears. I admit it's high tier 3, but I just cannot push myself to look at it higher from the Bears perspective. Because Montez Sweat, he's probably not a low-end one. He's high-end too. They have invested a lot of money in Dio, who is kind of H3, which kind of sucks, but that's the case. They have invested in Shemar Turner, who is kind of on H2 interior versatility. Some count him interior, some count him edge. I view this kind of a 50-50. I think PFF has him as an edge. Spotcheck and other has him as a D lineman. He is a piece for both of these rooms. Was he great year one? No, he wasn't. And you have Austin Booker, who I do value as very, very interesting piece. I think he had a low breakout year last season. And I think he's a guy that has the upside to be another 2 for them, especially in terms of the pass rush. So even though I don't think this is a freaking great room, it's far from unplayable. It's far from not going to give you anything. And I know Bears fans are but we need to get to the quarterback in January, and these guys perhaps cannot do it. And I can understand that. I really think if your sole thing is we need a guy that's going to give us a bucket in January, I understand why you view this as high tier 1 or you want to invest there. Is this necessarily the great thing of roster building, just being so narrow on this one thing? This is all that this team needs? Because if you focus on that, and let's say you get Max Crosby, it's going to cost you first round this year and second next year, the money you are committing there, the draft capital you are committing there is going to cost you somewhere else. And is it really that smart to just focus narrowly on this part of the field where I think the room is fine? I let you guys be the judge. I think they don't view it in this category, and they are willing to give guys like Austin Booker, Shemar Turner, and Gavin Dexter that we will talk about in terms of interior the possibilities to emerge as not Max Crosby's, but as another like Montez Sweat. And if you could have 4 Montez Sweats, that should be freaking good enough for you in January. Now, in terms of interior, I would ask that this is probably much more in terms of tier 2 need, because there are a lot of bodies. But unlike with the edge, I am struggling to really even see a high end. I think Gavin Dexter is going to get there. I think he is very, very promising. But in the rest, it's kind of really just bodies. And I would argue that your edge is slightly more secure, slightly better than your interior. And getting a pressure from interior is even more valuable, in my opinion. So if there is a room that I would probably think for a real one, it would be the interior of this defensive line. I call this a tier 2 need because even though there is a lot of names for this year, the longevity of this room is absolutely not there. Pretty much all of these guys, beside Gavin Dexter and Shemar Turner, are not going to be there for 27. And at the same time, it can still use a body for now. And I would really swing for an upside here. I feel like this would be the room that I would do it. I do agree that looking at this defensive line and being just fine for the playoffs might not be enough when you go for the Super Bowl. I would just say going for the upside potential, defensive line 1, I would swing in the interior. Overall, I would call this a tier 2 need. In terms of a linebacker, they have reworked this room. They let go Tremaine Edmonds, but they have brought Devin Bush, who I'm a big fan of. I think he was very undervalued after being very overvalued in terms of he was a first rounder, it didn't work out, and because of that he got some contracts that it kind of ran out, and he sneakily was not the greatest linebacker in the game, but top 20, 25-ish for the Browns last couple of years. Obviously, the defensive line of the Browns really helped his style, We will see how it's going to work here, but I think he was really low-key very, very nice pickup for this room. I really like TJ Edwards, and they have invested highly in Ruben Hippolyte last year. So with also Jack Sanborn like coming back to the mix, like this is a room that you are absolutely fine with. You have your investments, you have your like good starters. You are not touching this. I would be very shocked. Now, in terms of the corners, for 26, it's absolutely strong enough. You have Kyle Gordon from the slot, Jalen Johnson as your CB1, Tyreek Stevenson as your CB2. Now the question is, what's the future? Because after that, you don't necessarily have too much. Like there is Zach Frazier, there is Terrell Smith, but are they necessarily your starters? I kind of doubt that. And you could start thinking about what the future holds for this room. At the same time, you have 3 clear starters. 2 of them you are committed financial-wise, and 1 can very easily be re-signed in Tyreek Stevenson. So here I'm not like super worried about the future of the room, because I think this is a clear year in which Tyreek Stevenson's job is kind of on the line with the Bears. If he plays well enough, they will re-sign him to be their CB2 of the future. If he's not, they will take a look at CB2 in next year's draft or free agency, and you have a lot of depth. Admittedly, it's not the greatest depth, but it's functional depth for this year. So I don't think this room needs to be touched. Unlike safety, I call safety a deep need, because despite addition of Kobe Bryant, who I think is a very fine safety, he's not like Antoine Whitfield, Jesse Bates, or these guys, or from the new like Kyle Hamilton or anyone close to that. But he is damn freaking solid starter. Next to him, Cam Lewis or Elijah Hicks, they're kind of useful. You can get by with them, but I would prefer them on the bench, being my depth rather than one of my starters. So that's why I landed as a deep need for the safety. Overall, Bears are in a very interesting situation. I think they clearly realized that this is their window. They have Ben Johnson, have Caleb Williams. Like, that's a great setup. They have a good roster. Will they be super aggressive, whether it's like trade for Max Crosby or something like that, or content to, yes, we can steal some money from the future, but we also think about like the whole of Caleb Williams' career, which could be last like next 15 years, and like want to really build it foundationally, let's say, with like strong foundation, with like trying to have the window constantly open, and it just like opens wider, opens slightly lower based on the year, based on the contracts, based on how we hit on the drafts? Or do we just want to blow the window open and really go for it, and then perhaps be hampered for next 2-3 years because the money commitment is just not going to be that strong? We will have to see how they handle this. In terms of the draft room, this is how I would go in line with how they're taken this offseason, where I felt like they want to have the window constantly open and just like slightly push, more throttle, less throttle, but not go 0 to 100 in 3 seconds. So that's the Bears. Let me know if you agree or disagree. See you with the next one, guys.